Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Red, checking in for the week. We're just gonna look at a couple of things. NFL recap real quick, just because. I mean, it's important and all that kind of stuff, but we're gonna be talking about a few of the. I mentioned a couple of things last week that I do want to follow up on, but yeah. So New England's still 9-1, which is fine. Baltimore 8-2, which is what I was hoping would happen. I hope they would stick together and continue to play the way that they have been. The 49ers did bounce back after their first loss, which is good. They're 9-1 right now. I am watching the LA Rams. I think that they are going to end up being in there in that same division. They're going to be the biggest threat at the end of the season. Um, so yeah, I mean, as far as the NFL goes, it's actually looking pretty good as far as an open field right now for competitive games and things to watch instead of just a bunch of blowouts all the time. Minus, the Bengals. Bengals 0-10. Let's go. Okay. Moving on to what I had mentioned last week about the sub agent and dealing with non-payments or MIA guys and whatever else it may be. So if you're into this game, and if you're new to this game, or if you've just never had the experience yet and you've been in it for a long time, good for you. But the guy did reappear eventually, end up telling me what happened, yada yada yada. Said there was some issues with people that he was collecting from, and it ended up panning out where everything was fine. Still, have him. I'm going to take him on, and it's going to be, just a few players, not a lot, but enough to be worth the time and the stress of maybe this happening in the future. And it is something that as you grow or as things change over the span of you know this whole idea, that you're going to run into certain people that aren't as full of integrity, right? So you deal as you go. Um, the other thing too is that I have noticed that this week actually there were some changes done. Looks like the previous platform that we had for live wagering was there, right? That was what they had before, and it did its job, and it was nice. But they are talking about going back to that platform, that since we now got the video feeds and whatever else, which I'm not gonna. My players aren't gonna be excited about it, but they'll continue to play. I might not have 9 out of 10 usages. I'll have 7 out of 10, considering that they don't have the live feed on the TV anymore. If they do switch back, it isn't there for my site yet, but I have been notified that it is going to change. Um, Other than that, I also did set up a couple of things for this other guy so that if the collections do happen from the players that he's so-called claiming, I do have the APS running for those players on that side, since I am the master agent on that front and I can control that. Turned it on. His players now have access to deposit directly through to my account if he's got issues with collections. So, I mean, it is part of the thing. It is, a security check to see what their balances are and have them under your sheet, and you're able to monitor what's going on. Um, so it's a positive thing too that I've actually taken advantage of, since they do have the APS thing enabled for me, and I did set it up, and so collections are easier, especially if you have middlemen that you have to deal with on that front. Um, I do have a couple of things that I do notice. Like, I don't know if any of my listeners have had a previous player kind of website where you played whatever online post up, right, where you have lines that are available coming in. One thing that I wish that we did have was the ability to control when lines were open, because some of these basketball games and some of the NFL games and some of the college football games are open midweek, and they're on like Saturday or Sunday, right? And you can get some sharpies in there, and they'll come in and beat you on the line way early as soon as it's open. The overnight limits are in place for certain time frames, which is does help with that the night exposure on games that aren't open yet for that morning. But during the day, those lines are open for full game limits, and that is why I say I wish we had something that would control that. And they have told me that is some process on that. They are going to have a limiting factor for when lines open on by customization. I can choose when that happens. And if that does happen, that's great. I think that it'll benefit me immensely for the guys that I do have that are sharp. There are only a couple of them that are truly actually like I worry about when it comes to a line. However, I keep them lower than average, and if they want something bigger, I can put in the request to put in a bigger a line change, they can call me, right, or message me or whatever. That is another thing too that I think is going to be an improvement coming in the near future that I've also asked about is internal messaging within the player websites. Something where a player can log in and send me a message directly without having to do anything outside of the encrypted interface, which would be a benefit to me and several other people that I know in the business where they are not getting whatever app you use, whether it be Viber or Signal or WhatsApp, and I'm not sponsored by any of these guys, so no hashtag ad. Um, so I think looking at the upcoming games right now, the college basketball is basically holding with the big guys that I mentioned last week. Everybody's winning after they may have stumbled one or two games, and I'm gonna wait until I start talking about all that. NBA is treating me pretty good. I am at a basically like a 6% hold, which is, if you don't know theoretical hold, it's 4.5% on any volume that you have coming in. Volume is it's the only thing that makes the difference between the juice, right? And that's why we offer juice on lines, because that 10 cents comes back over volume, or 15 cents or whatever your line is set to, 5. So I'm holding it at a 6% hold on the NBA. It's a percent and a half higher, and it's basically like me offering 15-cent juice, which I'm not, but it is something that I do enjoy seeing when people aren't winning. So I think that's about it for this week. It's kind of a shorter podcast kind of thing for me, just because after handling that situation with that guy, it took some of the time out of it, and I haven't really been watching the sports as much. So we do hope that you have a great, I guess, week. The numbers are always in your favor. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, follows, likes, subscribes, that would be appreciated too. Have a great day.